Hi everyone, it's Bethany. Welcome back. In this video, we are going to have fun with this beautiful wafer die. It says "Some Bunny Loves You." This is from Simon Says Stamp, and it's so cute. I'll link everything that I'm using to bring this card together down below, but I wanted to have fun with some color today. So I think I'm gonna bring out some watercolors and we're gonna have some fun painting. So I want to play around with these paints, and I've already swatched them on the inside of the lid. I'll link these down below, and swatching them really helps because you can kind of get an idea of what they're truly going to look like. And I think that I have a few colors in mind that I think will be really fun. So I'm going to set my water off to the side. I'm also going to, let's see, I'm going to set these this way. Okay, so I have my paints here. I'm also going to bring in a watercolor paper. Just going to tape this down. Now our little die set is made up of two dies. We have more of a shadow layer, and then we have our text. So they nestle right into one another just like that. And what I'm going to do is I want to bring the color in on that background shadow layer. So I'm going to grab a pencil and just kind of give myself a general idea of how much area I have to play with in terms of color. And the next thing that I want to do is I have some water off to the side, but I'm just going to play around with bringing some fun color into this or onto this paper. So I'm going to wet down my brush, and I think what I'll do is I want to start with, I think I want to do some pale pink. Okay. And I'm just going to, you can wet down your paper if you'd like beforehand, but I'm just going to start bringing that right onto the paper. Okay, and then I'm going to really water down this yellow. This is saffron yellow. And still a lot. Really want this to be, bring some water in. Really want this one to be really playful with the pink. Okay, and now I'm going to bring in pea green. Okay. And that's fun. That reminds me of like spring grass. I'm not sure why, but I love that. I'm going to bring it up into the yellow too a little bit. Bring some water in, just kind of allow that to kind of soften that little transition. That's pretty. Okay, and now finally my last color will be pale aqua. And I'll bring that down here. Now I'm going to bring in my heat tool and just heat set that. I love how it's kind of playing between the layers. That's really fun. Oh, and then this is traveling. It's kind of traveling up and away. I'm going to bring a little bit more of that blue in though. And go back to pea green. Okay, let's dry this. And we'll just kind of dab that. Whoop. That's just fine. We're not even going to go that far anyway, but let's get some of that water off. And sometimes I feel like I get caught up in, you know, the movement and lack of perfection, but you have to realize that once you get your little die cut on the front, those little things aren't going to be completely obvious, right? So let me heat set this, and I'm going to put my paints away, and then we will cut it out with our shadow layer. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I have one little area down here. There we go. Because we're not going to see that anyway. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to take the die and I want to cut this out. Oh, isn't that neat? And then you can kind of play around too with where you want to showcase the color. I think that actually is really kind of fun. So I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to tape this down and I am going to cut this out. I'm also going to take this inside piece and I'm going to cut it out 3 times with 110-pound white cardstock. Okay, so I have this piece. Look how fun that is. Isn't that neat? I think that's really fun. And I'm also going to keep this. I wonder if I can get, I need to get an eraser. And I wonder if I can get my eraser or my little pencil marks off because I think this could be really neat to make a shaker with. That is so fun. I like how, I just like all of the colors surrounding there. You could even add just a tad bit more pink in there too to just bring it up on the top. But I'm loving this. This is fun. I'm loving this. Okay, so then I also cut out 3 layers of the Some Bunny Loves You out of 110-pound cardstock, and I went ahead and glued those together, stacked those up. How pretty is that? I think that is really fun. I love it, and I love the green. I think when I think of spring, I think of fresh grass and all of the fun blooming flowers, blooming everything. So I love the prominent green in this piece. That's really fun. Okay, so the next thing that I want to bring in is I have a really neat craft die. It's a steel craft die and it has a fun little floral print to it. And I thought that this could make for a really fun but subtle background panel. Again, I'm really being more bold with my little background or shadow layer of this little bunny die, but I thought it'd be fun to have a little bit of texture, though subtle, in the background as well. So I'm going to open this up and let's see here. Isn't this neat? I think this will be really fun. So I'm going to set this to the side. I'm also going to grab 110-pound cardstock, I believe. Well, I could do 80-pound. That's completely fine. I'm going to do 80-pound because I already have it trimmed down. And let's line that up just so. It's an A2 size panel, so it lines up just perfectly. Okay, let me go ahead and die cut this out. Okay, so I have my spell binders. I'll line this up just so. Turn this over, and then I'm going to run it through at an angle. That way it runs through smoothly. Okay, run that through. There we go. Okay, and let's see how we did. Oh goodness, this is going to be so neat. Look at that. Is that not so fun? I think that is so cool. Oh my goodness, I love that. Okay, setting that to the side, let's move this out of the way. And let's get a little idea for how this is going to look. Isn't that cool? Oh, I think it's really fun. What I think I will do though is bring my paper trimmer in and I'm going to trim off the edges just a hair. Okay, because I just like to have my panel be a little bit smaller than my card base. So I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off each side. That way I also am centering that design. That's really cool. Okay, so this is 5.5, so we'll do 5 3/8. Just like this. And I'll just continue doing 1/8 off each side. Okay, I think that looks really pretty. I love that. I'm so happy I have that in my collection because I feel like I'm going to use that time and time again. All right, I'm going to get my card base created, and I think it will be helpful just to start building up this card. And I want to get some foam tape on the back of this and put this on my card, and then we'll start really experimenting with what we want to do to finish this up. Here is 110-pound cardstock, and it is sized at 11 by 4 1/4. I'm going to do a top folding A2 size card, so I'll place my score mark at 5 1/2, and then I'll have my top folding card. So let me move this out of the way, grab my bone folder. There we go. And let's go ahead and attach these two pieces. Now, if you love the idea of this look, but you want to simplify the process just a little bit, you could also use pattern paper. And you could bring your pattern paper where I did the watercoloring. I think that would be really fun as well. And it would also be a way that you could really simplify this card, but also mass produce it, because then you're not having to take the time to paint and all that. Okay, let's go ahead and attach our background panel to our card. We'll just get that little magnet there and center and place that down. Cute. Oh, I love how subtle that is, but it's there. Really fun. Okay, I think what I'll do is I want a little bit more out of, in terms of dimension out of this piece. So I'm going to grab some additional cardstock and do some more layers out of white out of this little shadow. Okay, here are all of my pieces, and I'm simply going to glue these together. And I'm using Gina K Connect glue. I've been pretty fond of it lately. And I did this out of 80-pound cardstock, so 4 additional layers. Actually, this could be the 4th layer, but that's okay. Could have just done 3. But I love this look of it laying, you'll see once I bring this together, but I really love the look of paper on paper. And so instead of using foam tape to give this dimension, I love the look when you tilt the card to the side and it's just all paper connected for the little die cut on the top. I think it's really fun. Oops, shift that into position. Got a little bit off there, but that is the best thing about liquid glue, is you can just keep shifting. Okay, a little bit more. There we go. Okay, and the final little white layer, and I'll put my nice watercolored piece right on top. Okay, that just looks so nice. Look at that. So nice. I'm going to bring a block in and just let this settle just for a moment. There we go. And then we'll attach our little greeting there. Okay, I think that should be good. Now we'll bring some tweezers in and place this right on top. How fun. Now, I'm not going to throw away that other piece though. I'm going to try to get those little pencil marks off. Although, I don't know, can you get pencil marks off once you have watercolored on top of it? I don't know, but I'm going to try, and if not, maybe I'll just get crafty with putting sequins over them. I really want to see a little shaker come together from the little cutout of our watercolor paper. Okay, that's enough glue. So let's position this. I think that looks good. How fun. I love all those colors. And then we got a little orange in there, as the pink and yellow were a little bit playful. That is really pretty. I really am loving the blue at the bottom. Very fun. Okay, just about done. Now we can bring in our card. Okay, so, oh, that is so neat. In fact, you could just center it and be completely done there. I love that. In fact, I think I will. Sometimes I don't really love centering things. Instead of, you know, maybe doing, ooh, that's kind of cute too. Something off center. But I'm really liking that. So let's go ahead. Now I'll show you what I mean about having paper on paper on paper. It's so pretty. So instead of that gap of the foam tape. Now, of course, I did use foam tape for my panel. But once you tilt that to the side, oh, that's so pretty. I'm going to let this sit for a bit with a block. Bring that down just a little bit. I love that. That is so fun. I'm going to bring in some of these little dewdrop embellishments and my little jewel picker-upper. That is nice. Okay, and I love these because they offer shine without offering color. I just think they're really, really fun. So I'm gonna do one, I need the small ones. There's lots of sizes in this little bit. Okay, maybe I'll do the little trio. 1, 2, and then the baby. 3. And then I'll play with this top left. Okay, just 2 at the top, 3 down below. I'm trying to decide where this little third is gonna go. Oh, I actually kind of maybe like that. Yeah, I do. I'm gonna do that. Bringing in, whoops, that's not right. Bringing in my glue here. And we'll just get those nice and down. Now, I love how this glue also kind of tones down these little dewdrops. They just look a little bit more cloudy and soft, I think, after the glue is applied, which I really like. Oops, there we go. And the last 2. Here we are. Oh my goodness, that's so fun. That was fun, and not only does it look fun, but it was fun to create, which gotta love a nice, fun, crafty day, right? Okay, there is the final card. I think that is simple but fun. I really like it. I love the pop of color and this background panel. Oh, that's where my heart is. That's so, so cute. Okay, I really want to play around with this now. So let's go ahead and see what we can do about those little pencil marks. And then I'm going to create a shaker out of this side. Okay, so I have a little eraser here and I just want to see how much I can or cannot remove. And you know, if I can't remove it, it's just going to be a lesson learned. Some of the markings underneath the actual watercolor, as expected, aren't as easily coming off, but I'm wondering if I can just kind of soften them so that they're not so obvious, and then I can maybe do some embellishing that will maybe distract from it. We'll see. And also, out of curiosity, I just want to try this little mono sand eraser just to say I did. And I don't know that that's really doing any better or worse, but let's see. Actually, between the sand eraser and just the regular eraser, I was really able to dampen it quite a bit. And I think it's salvaged. Sure, if you looked uber closely, I'm sure you could see remnants of a pencil mark, but you know what? I'm gonna call it good. And I really want to use this because surprisingly enough, isn't it funny when you're doing an idea and creating, some of the scraps end up being such favorites. I'm going to quickly grab an A2 layer die and I'm gonna trim this down a little bit and get it all centered. Well, maybe not necessarily centered, but just kind of polished up. And I also like my panel to be just slightly smaller than my card base. So let's see, I need to still do a little work down here on this pencil line. I kind of forgot about this one. So you will know for yours, if you want to do this and then also use the leftover to create an additional card, which I'm kind of thinking is going to turn out amazing. Just don't use pencil. Just eyeball it. Okay, I think that's going to look good. It centers it a little bit more. It's not going to be perfectly center because when I was doing this, I wasn't sure that I was going to, or I didn't know at all that I was going to do this part. So I just kind of put my die on there and went on my merry way. So it won't be perfect, but it's going to be better than nothing at all, right? So I'll secure this little die with some tape and then trim this down, and then we'll start building our shaker. So we'll create our window and decide on some shaker fill. Okay, I am lining up my die cuts. So what I did, and I'm just going to take this kind of in chunks so that it doesn't all lay down at once, and it allows me some wiggle room to get everything in place. But I cut out my little inside sentiment, just like the first card, 110-pound cardstock, 3 times, I think it was 3. Oh, well, yes, this was my first one. I was kind of trying to think if I did 3 on my first one. Okay, so I'm just gonna layer these up, get them pinched into place, and I think this is gonna be pretty. So I'm trying as I work to think about my sequins choice for the inside fill. I love a couple that I'm gonna bring out a couple, and I have a feeling I'm gonna love both of them. Okay, let me just pinch a couple more into place and then we should be golden. Okay, so I wanted to do this really quickly because then I'm able to set this to the side and put it under a block while I construct the rest of the shaker. So, speaking of block, wandered away, and there we go. So, let's cap the glue. Actually, I'm not going to cap the glue because we're going to go right to it. I have some acetate sheets from Simon Says Stamp, and in the back, I always keep my trim down pieces. That way I don't have to cut into a big panel if I just need a little bit. So I'm going to just get an idea for how much I'm going to need. And let's see. I'm going to hover over here, thinking right about there by there. That should be plenty, yes. Okay, and then I'll just take my remaining little scraps, and again, just put them in the back. That way I have a little inventory of the trim down pieces that I can use and utilize before opting to trim into a bigger piece. Okay, turning this over, I'm going to just take some glue and go around the perimeter of this opening. Now, I don't have to cut a shadow layer out because the opening is going to be my shadow layer, which is super fun. Okay. I'm just going to put some glue there and lay down my acetate, just like that. All right, and then I have my window. It's a little hard to see, but there's a little window so that our little shaker pieces don't fall out. So I have this really pretty sequins, and it's so fun. It kind of has a little holographic look to it, and so I think this is what I'm going to use. I think it'll be really just fun and pair well with the colors that are going on here. Okay, so what I want to do next is bring some foam tape in and create a little gate or just a little area where my sequins will be contained behind the whole panel and the window. So let me bring in some foam tape, and with this foam tape I do like to double it up for shakers, so I'm going to go all the way around the edge, and I think it's going to be just a hair too wide for all these pieces. Okay, there we go. Now when doing my shaker and applying all of my pieces of foam tape, I want to make sure that I cover, oops, this is stealing focus, sorry. I want to make sure that everything touches in the corners. So all of my foam tape is going to meet up really, really well. That was a little crooked, but it's gonna work. That way my shaker sequins, or whatever you fill it with, doesn't fall out. Okay, so once I have the first bit down, what I'm going to do is peel all of these little strips off before doing the next layer of foam tape. That way it sticks really, really well. If you don't peel these off, then the next layer just, it doesn't stick. It just comes right off. So I'm going to go right back through, line up my foam tape once more, and just build it up a little bit more. That way it just moves nice and free. Sometimes if your foam tape is a little too thin, it just doesn't move as freely inside and it kind of gets sticky and stuck, and just a thick foam tape is better here. Okay. But when you don't have a thicker option, you just double up. Easy peasy. Okay, keeping my little scrap pieces on my little roll here, and I'll finish this up. Okay, what I'm going to do next is make my card base. I have 110-pound cardstock at 11 by 4 1/4, and then I'm going to place my score line at 5 1/2, and then I'll have a top folding A2 size card, and press that down really nice. And let me open this up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sequins, and I'm actually going to do it opposite of how I normally do, but I'm going to put all of my fill here. Okay, just like that. And this is mighty staticky. Okay, and I think that should be enough. If I'm hoping it's not too much, but oh, isn't that going to be super pretty? I think that will be really pretty. So I'm just going to scoot it over just a little bit, make sure it stays right in here, and get any extras and see if I can get each and every little piece. Okay, then I have a little one that's just clinging to the acetate there, but that's okay. That's going to be its forever home in just 2 seconds. I'm going to peel this off, and then when I turn this over to position, I want to center it really well because, again, I trimmed this panel down just slightly, and let's center. Oh, I can already tell I have too much sequins. Hold on. Okay, I took a couple pinches out. It was just already feeling a little full. Okay, now there, looks straight, and it looks centered. There we go. Now we can move this freely, and there is our shaker. Isn't that fun? I think that's really fun, and I'm glad I took a couple pinches out because I think it was going to be too full. Okay, now I'm going to take my little Some Bunny Loves You, and I'm going to put that right in here. Okay, so I cut some alternatives if you wanted to bring in some color, because I was thinking, do I like the white on white? So I always like to just give myself that opportunity to try something else. So I just kind of color matched some cardstock in my craft room, and I cut out this blue, and I just didn't like it. But I also cut out this gold, and this was really pretty, but I also, for some reason, didn't love it. And so I'm going to go back to, even though initially I was wanting to kind of play around to see if I could bring in some color, in the end, I really, really like that. And I know on camera it might seem like it's a little too tone on tone, but in person, the contrast really is there. And I don't know, it's just so simple and pretty, and it's exactly where I want to take this card. Though I really like to pause and cut out some additional options, not only for myself, but for you. That way, when you go to approach this card or something similar, you kind of have an idea of the options in front of you and if they're worth pursuing. Okay, so now I will just kind of line this up and nestle this within that shadow. And just encourage those pieces where they need to go. But actually, that did really, really well. I'm going to let this settle, and I think I will bring a couple of these little sequins in, because when I do a shaker, I like to bring some of that fill to the outside of the card, and let's see if I like it. If I don't, then I will grab these little glass beads once more. I think those could be really fun. So I did this in a card recently and I was really digging it. So I might bring in some of these little dots and just kind of match them with their color family and have some fun with that. So what I could do is, I like this color for down here. I think I would go 1 and then 2, 3, and then let's look at this one. There is so many options. There are so many options, excuse me. Ooh, that would be fun too. Yep, I think that is our match, or our closest one. So I just really like that kind of tone on tone look. I think it's really fun. So I'll just bring 2 up here. I may bring in this green. Though I wonder, hopefully that's not too crowded, but I think it'll work. That's kind of fun. And then I think, let's see, ooh, that does match nice. I think I'll do that. I'll match this little color right up here. And let's see. I guess I kind of have to think through my little options here. Maybe I should, oh, that's really fun. Okay, so I really do like the whole color family idea, but it's just not working for this card. I don't know. Do you know when you're just not in love with it at the end? Luckily, these are super easy to just, they're so forgiving. And I'll just place them right back where they came from and save this for another idea. But I do want to bring in the clear, and I think that will be the perfect touch. Okay, so with the color family dots, such a fun idea, and I really liked it, but I felt like I was trying to talk myself into liking it. And that's when you kind of know, well, maybe it's just not me, or maybe it's just not for this card. So I'm going to do a fun little clear dot instead. And I think, given that it's clear, it's still going to take on the color below, and I think that will be just as fun. But I think it'll just be a little more subtle, which I think this card needs in terms of the extra embellishment, because there's just so much fun going on with it. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 at the bottom. I'll do 1, 2 right up here, and I'm going to call that good. Okay, so final cards. I love them. I think these are so fun. I love that we were able to get an additional bonus card out of scrap material, and I love that look. I think that is so fun. And I'm pretty sure I dulled down those pencil marks just enough to where this card is going to be a-okay. Loving this first one that we put together. It just has my heart. This might be, you know, I say it, you know I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it loud. This might be my favorite card this spring. I'll say this spring. It's hard to pick a favorite for all time, but I think so far this spring, this one is my jam. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Please let me know what you're working on as well. I can't wait to continue crafting with you, and I will see you all in the next video.